Hello, how are you?
Hi.
We as Americans, I believe, have a very significant interest, both in terms of our security but also our prosperity, today and in the future, in developing and strengthening these relationships, and strengthening them in a number of ways, both through diplomacy, which is part of why I keep coming to the region, to develop these relationships and strengthen them, but also what we must do to develop the relationships around prosperity and mutual benefit. There is so much about the work that we have done here in the last 2.5 years that, for example, has been about strengthening supply chains, something the American family knows really well, and what we must do to build resiliency and partner with allies on critical resources. And then there's, of course, what we need to do in terms of strengthening our relationships militarily.
I actually have a question about that as well. China just released a new map emphasizing its territorial claims in the South China Sea. What are your thoughts on that map? And are you worried, as the U.S. operates in this region, that there could be a greater risk of a direct confrontation between the U.S. and China within the South China Sea?
This has already been negotiated. I mean, Arbitral 2016 made it clear, right? It's a violation of the law. And so that's where I put that map.
Mm-hmm. As you've been coming to this region, what has surprised you about, say, Southeast Asia? What do you think you've learned about this region that you didn't know before you started making repeat trips here as Vice President?
What has really impressed me most of all is a shared commitment to international rules and norms, which is very important when we think about, again, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, because for 70 years, I think most would have agreed during that period of time that this was not up for debate, the importance of respecting sovereignty and territorial integrity. Now we know that has been upended. So to have a relationship where we have a mutual and strong commitment to such a fundamental principle as that is very important.
This summit, ASEAN, has struggled recently to address some issues like the military coup in Myanmar, maritime access we've already discussed in the South China Sea. Do you think this organization still provides an effective platform for dealing with regional issues, given the difficulty in handling this stuff?
Absolutely. The fact that so many leaders are convening in this one place at the same time to address some of the biggest challenges facing our world is a sign of strength, of both the commitment that each nation has to the coalition and the potential for collaboration, but it also speaks, I think, to the optimism that nations have about the importance of this organization and the convening.
We've seen some significant demographic economic challenges in China. President Biden even called it a ticking time bomb recently. Do you think these problems are creating an opportunity or risk for the U.S. When dealing with China?
I don't believe that what is happening in China economically will impact the U.S. economy in any substantial way. But I do see over a period of time that, for example, U.S. investment in terms of the private sector investment in China, I think that there's more hesitancy than there has been in the past because of the risk associated with that. And then again, coming back to Southeast Asia and in the context of ASEAN, but in the context of the relationships we have here, you can look at, I think, the importance of stability and predictability in terms of rule of law, in terms of engagement, as being a reason that U.S. private sector investment will either happen or not happen. And increasingly you're seeing that here in Southeast Asia in a way that you're, I think, not seeing it grow in terms of stability and predictability in China.
Great. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you get all your questions?
I always have more questions.